Hey everybody, it's Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. And it's a little loud in my shop tonight because I have a space heater on because it's just literally like 19 degrees in here and it's just too cold to craft without a space heater. I have almost no voice as well. But I am going to paint a miniature, and I was going to paint it no matter what. I thought might as well record it. This is an STL miniature. It's a company that we used to do business with, and then we kind of got away from because they just didn't have enough variety, and they had a lot of peasants and townsfolk, but they didn't have a lot of options. So here's what I got: is this dude, and upcoming for the town of Berg stuff that's going on that I'm working on. Even though I have quite a bit of townsfolk, maybe 30 or more, you can always have a couple extra, right? So to get started, I'm going to use this barbarian flesh. I'm just getting a tiny dot of that. And my brush is damp. I used my my mouth. Looks like homeboy's got a work glove on that hand and a work bracer on the other. I don't know. Hey, you know what? He's doing his thing, right? I'm going to come back over that. Make sure I get enough coverage on that color. So, if you want to know what's going on in Berg, this is a good time to talk about it. So, the magistrate of Berg, which is kind of like the mayor slash judge slash sheriff, he is ploying that he's rebelling against the king and starting a rebellion to draw heroes and good guys and the like in, because the king was always very tolerant of non-humans, but now they've been arresting wee folk, which are like halflings and gnomes. And some of the bestial races, like the rabbit folk, who they were always tolerant of, are now becoming targets and being blamed for stuff. And what it is the king married a younger bride who came from one of the nomadic plains tribes. And her people have a deep-seated hatred of non-humans. So, this magistrate's pretending that he's starting a coup and drawing a bunch of people in. However, in my world, and in the Tomorrow Comes Doom system, if evil goes unchecked, it grows. So, the magistrate didn't start out bad, but he didn't start out good either. But he's a bad dude, and he has no desire to start a war to protect anybody's rights. He just simply wants to try to make a claim on the throne, as he is a distant relation of the current king. That's how he got his job. He is in league with a witch in this swamp south of town. You see, Berg used to be dry, but centuries ago there was a terrible swamp to the south of it where a witch dwelled, and they drained the swamp and killed off the witch and all her creatures. So, I'm just looking for a good color. So she has told this magistrate that she has seen him on the throne, and she has seen her guiding him to get there. So he is, of course, all about that. So as monsters start invading the town and making attacks in broad daylight, and, you know, instead of staying in the swamps and the forests, start coming in, because as her power grows because of him helping her, he starts to panic. And he starts calling more and more and more heroes to come aid the call to save Berg. And he makes inferences, not true accusations, but inferences to heroes that last a little bit. That the king is somehow, with his new queen, causing this drama in Berg, causing these attacks. When it's in fact, as he has become more and more entwined with the witch, she's actually just blatantly ignoring his pleas to stop. But he still thinks that she's going to help him become king, so he won't tell anybody about her. And if anybody starts to find out about her or starts to uncover it, he'll do anything in his power to stop that. Now that's a hard plot hook to run and talk about in little videos. And there's a lot more to it, obviously. So for people that don't watch, like this video, me just painting a miniature, they will miss out on some of that lore. Some of that, what's going on. And because I don't railroad my parties, they might make decisions, even though I will try to help them, find out this stuff. They might make decisions where they never uncover this and never figure out that this guy is bad. This magistrate. But again, that's the price you pay in D&D, right? Sometimes you know what's up and sometimes you don't. Now, there are alternatives. If you have a story that you are hell-bent on telling. For example, you could keep indicating that what they need is in a certain place that you need them to go. Or you can simply change the place you need them to go to wherever they seem to be heading. Maybe entice them with promises of treasure or magic items. But you can get them there. You can make them kind of do what you want if you feel like you have to. And don't get me wrong, even though I don't generally support that kind of behavior, I've done it. Because sometimes even if you tell them exactly what they need to do to get what they're trying to get done, they're just too stubborn, or they don't see it, or they can't read your mind enough to understand what's what and what you were expecting of them. That happens, you know. I've even been a player where a DM thought he had an easy solution or an easy path to something, and then when we never accomplished, he got mad. And when I tried to talk to him to the side and be like, what's going on here, man? What are we doing wrong here? He's like, I laid everything out for you perfectly. Well, we can't read minds. And we didn't realize the breadcrumbs he had laid, because even though in his mind it was a perfect journey, for us, we couldn't see it. We couldn't follow that trail. So, keep in mind, sometimes they're not even doing it on purpose. Now, as I'm working on it, tomorrow comes Doom Sourcebook. I have a lot of notes for players and DMs in there. I call them GMs because, DM I think might be a actual Dungeons & Dragons kind of owns that, so I don't use it. But I have notes in there to tell you, like, hey, this could happen. If you're doing this, do this, Well, anyways, this needs mixed up better. I need a paint shaker or something. Maybe I have to look online. I was watching a Squidmar video. They got one from Temu or one of those kind of sites. I just don't trust those places. I don't want to give them my information. They might be a good company, I don't know. It's just I get a bad feeling about it and I don't trust it. I mean, it might be a completely legit and good company, but I trust my gut feelings, man. Until the day they steer me wrong. And I'll tell you what, I still live with decisions I made against what my gut told me and wish I'd listened to my gut. That's a fact. I think that we're equipped with some kind of sixth sense about things. But our society doesn't teach us to acknowledge that. So we tell it to shut up as we start getting older. And I think that we can benefit by listening to that instinct. It got to the point where my last tour in Iraq, I could tell when we were walking out there, driving out the gate, walking out the gate, however we were leaving the gate that day. Usually it was driving. I knew something was up. I knew we were going to get into some shit. Because I stopped fighting it and just start letting it tell me what's happening. Now, I'm not recording this as an instructional video. I'm just bullshitting and talking about whatever I want to talk about and painting a miniature. So I'm going to crack my garage door and enjoy some tobacco. This will be a good night to have a couple beers down here. I didn't bring any down. Now, I don't recommend you start smoking if you don't. Let me tell you, I begged my older sons to never start smoking. I am truly, truly a fiend. I am addicted to it. Like, I quit once for a year, and a couple times for like a couple of days here and there. But I just, I have the willpower to do almost anything. But for some reason, I just cannot force myself to quit smoking. Especially as sick as I've been, you'd think I'd be smart enough to know better. I'm not. We're expecting a big blizzard or some shit. I don't know if it's a blizzard, but they already shut school down. So in Berg, all the town guards are on the up and up. And they all think their magistrate is a good dude. Because he used to be, neutral and so that he could keep his job and not look like a dick, and people would love him because he was all about like attention and perception and what people thought of him. He made good choices. So they know a lot of the guards that have been with him for years don't suspect that he's corrupt. They do notice weird things, like they've seen him going on walks late at night outside the town, even though it's not safe and stuff. But they assume that he's just doing his civic duty, trying to help keep an eye on things. They don't suspect him of anything bad. I almost wish I was painting that dude instead of this dude, so I could keep talking about him and remembering. I knocked paint over. Hold on. There we go. I don't know if I've ever used this color, dry rust. Maybe I have. Let me see. Yeah, I must have. Sweet. Let's shake it up. I have some sick orcs from Dungeon Swag I have to assemble, and I got more Dungeon Swag boxes on the way that Asco sent me. And I'm like trying to get rid of my pile of shame. I've been giving away a lot of minis lately. Especially like I have a box to send out to my buddy John, who I met through Discord through Dungeon Swag. That's been sitting here for a long time, and I just swapped it out for a bigger box. I never make it to the damn post office, but I've had this box sitting here for him forever. I just added more to it. And then my ex-wife's first son she had with her current husband is probably about 10. Maybe he's 11. And he's been coming and playing D&D for kids D&D. Him and both her little boys she had with her new husband come play D&D with my little boys, because my oldest sons want all their siblings to get along. So they've encouraged them to be friends their whole lives. So they come play kids D&D, and he's getting older, and he's getting more interested in learning about dungeon mastering. And he plays in a group at the library. And he plays here, so I gave him some minis. And then my second oldest son is really like digging in and getting more into the minis, so I gave him some minis. And then a fella that made a post in a local Facebook thing about getting some cheap minis. I shared the Dungeon Swag thing with him, and then I just said, hey, if you can swing by and pick these up, you can have them. I have a bunch of minis here, and I gave him some minis. And mostly what I gave him were out of board games that I was never going to use. Because I'll be honest with you, man. Once you paint minis that are as detailed as the ones we make, unless I custom make a mini out of something else, or I paint it a certain way to be something I want it to be, I'm never happy anymore. I am such a mini snob. I came from like the poorest of the poor, and I have become like a total mini slob. What do you call it? No, snob. There we go. And I never meant to do that. It just kind of happened. Just giving off a total Marty McFly vibe with that vest. You're probably thinking, why don't I use thicker coats? Well, I don't mind hitting it twice. I'm in no hurry. If you watch me when I'm painting like custom stuff, I hurry and I rush. But for this kind of stuff, I don't do that. I got some orange on the inside of his sleeve here on the blue. So all I'm doing is coming in here with a wet brush, picking that up. Then I'm going to clean my brush up and grab some more of that blue paint and just go right over that and clean that back up and turn it blue again. Okay. See that? Look how easy that was. Because I'm using such thin coats. That little touch of red orange I did didn't hurt anything. I was able to recover that quickly. Alright. So that sash on his belt. Looks like that's our next target. I'm going to use this mummy robes. I'm going to do some other stuff with that while I have it out. Oops, way too much. There's a little belt sash with that. See, it's just the tiniest little sash. That's okay. I didn't realize it came all the way around the back. Eye doctor says I have 20/20 vision. I have trouble believing that. But I'm not going to argue because I don't want to have to wear glasses again. I had to wear glasses for years. I had diabetes and they just didn't realize that I wasn't fat enough. Generally, if you have type 2 diabetes, you get pretty heavy. Well, I didn't get heavy like that. So they didn't even check me for diabetes. They were diagnosing me with all kind of other problems. They were saying I was narcoleptic and stuff. Let's look at his teeth here. He does have some teeth. He has a mouth there too. So for that mouth, I'm dumb. Or not dumb, but I'm lazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a tiny drop of this speed paint. I'm going to give my brush a hell of a tip point. I'm going to touch his mouth with that speed paint. And then we'll come back to that. If you're wondering, yes, I do have diabetes. But I have it under control by my diet. I'm still a little heavier than I'd like to be, but it's just an uphill battle that I'm eventually going to hopefully catch up on. Pardon me. So I found a secret. It's not a secret, but I found a way that I can use my hands past about 5 p.m. If you have an arthritic, what I've been doing is taking 800 milligrams of Motrin twice a day, which is probably a lot more than you should. And then I've been taking every few hours, like every 4 hours, I've been taking 200 milligrams of acetaminophen. And then if I really need something else, I've been taking a little bit of naproxen sodium or whatever it is. I'm not sure what it's called. It's like Aleve is the official brand of it, but I don't want to say that. I'm trying not to say the brand names and stuff. I guess I should have said ibuprofen, not Motrin, because I don't. None of these companies pay me to use their names. But yeah, my arthritis in my fingers is pretty terrible. Okay. Let's deal with this base. And I'm just using craft paint on the base. It's pretty standard for me. I was thinking about 25 years ago, a buddy I served with and I tried to make Helm's Deep. This was the first giant terrain piece I ever tried to do. I always did like small stuff, like boards and small buildings and stuff. We tried to make Helm's Deep. And on a military salary, I think we were both E4s at the time, or maybe E3s. We were lower rank. He never made us 5 before he got out because he was working in a support platoon or whatever, like as a fueler, and he was an infantry dude. So combat guys working outside the MOS sometimes have difficulties getting promoted, and I don't know if that's every unit, but in our unit that was kind of the case. In the units that I've dealt with anyways. Again, I don't know if that's everywhere. So anyways, we set off on a mission to create Helm's Deep. We never created Helm's Deep. We created a lot of not Helm's Deep stuff. So recently I've been kind of thinking how much I have no need for a Helm's Deep, but I would like to build one because as a crafter I have come super far. Like my chances of succeeding on making a Helm's Deep, it would take me years to do it because one, I wouldn't want to half-ass it because back then we didn't half-ass. We did everything good. I still have terrain from back then. It stood the test of time. We used to carve shit out of wood and clear coat it really well. It was like polyurethanes and stuff. Now I'm super lazy and I do everything quick. Like you guys just watched me paint this miniature in like 35 minutes. He's not quite done, obviously, but he's in the wheelhouse of being done. He's in the right train station. He just hasn't unloaded his passengers yet. All right, let's get some hot air on this dude. I'm going to get a crappy brush. I'm going to get this this brown and this brown and mix those together. And I'm just going to drag that along here and add a little interest to that. Probably should have done that before I did the black. But hindsight is 20/20, or so they say. So I had to come back with the black. Do a little touch up. No worries. Okay. Oh, man, I even quit talking completely about Berg. Well, the witch, there was a mine that was stopping water from flowing back into the swamp that had been plugged up from an underground spring, and it had been diverted to a stream, which eventually over hundreds of years became almost like a river. There's bridges across it and stuff. It's that significant. So this magistrate hired an outside company of dwarven miners without, they're not from the area, so they didn't know, to go mine some really pure iron that for the town's benefit. So the town knew that he brought him in, but they didn't know why. Well, they brought him in specifically to do that. So now I'm going to get soft tone. These are called quick shades. They're just washes, and I think they're oil based, but I'm not sure. Okay. And I'm just using a synthetic brush here. And we want to spread that around as quick as we can, coating the entire miniature with it, but not leaving it on him too thick anywhere. We want to kind of get in all the cracks and do its job, but we don't want to be spreading it around for too long, because what will happen is this paint is not cured, so it'll reactivate and create problems for us. Okay. Now, when you're using washes on blue, you are going to desaturate it pretty significantly. Keep that in mind. But if you're like me, I painted with a brighter blue so that I would intentionally enjoy the benefits of desaturating it somewhat. Okay. And then that'll dull that down some too, that metal. I think we got him where we need to. So when he dries, I think he'll look okay. I'm just going to do a little touch-up work on the back of his head here. And if I have any spots where it's too thick, I can hit that real quick. Maybe dab his face a little bit. Not a bad looking villager. Let's hot air gun him. Alright. I'm not ashamed. So anyways, I'm going to get a little flock on there. Just 'cause. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon. Leave comments and all that algorithm-based behavior. And also leave the comments, like, if you don't mind, talking about what we're doing here. Talking about, hey, I've done this way. Give me some suggestions, or give me some critiques, or tell me what you guys want to see. Like, hey, Doom, maybe once in a while we'd like you to actually paint a miniature and not spend 30 minutes bullshitting and half-assing it, I'm okay for that. I like suggestions. Also, go to the website and buy miniatures. We don't have this guy anymore, but he is one of ours. But go to the website and buy some minis. Look at that. That's resin, dude. Look at boing, 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 boing. Here's a standard D&D mini next to him, so you can see, But anyways, go to the website, buy some minis. Not this mini, but a mini very similar to this. But it's going to be a combat-related mini, not a town mini. When Dave Bogar from Miniature Mashup reviewed our miniatures, one of the things he had said was about he didn't need civilians. He didn't need peasants. And I guess he made a point because we got rid of that company and went, and we're just using only Sven. So it made an impact. Check out the Discord. There's links in the description. You'll find them. And thank you so much for spending your evening with me.